Look around you for a moment. The blue sky above cities, the green leaves moving in the wind, the red glow of brake lights at night. It all feels immediate, natural, undeniable. Color seems woven directly into the fabric of the world itself, as if objects simply possess color the same way they possess shape or weight. A banana is yellow, grass is green, fire is orange. Obvious. Except none of that is actually true. The banana is not yellow, the grass is not green, and the world around you, despite how vivid it feels, is not filled with color at all. That sounds absurd at first, because your entire life has trained you to trust what you see. Color feels so direct, so effortless, that questioning it almost seems pointless. You open your eyes and the world appears fully painted, instantly recognizable. But here's the strange part. Outside your brain, there is no red, no blue, no green. There are only electromagnetic waves moving through space. Different wavelengths, different frequencies, pure physical activity with no color attached to them whatsoever. The sunlight reaching Earth contains an enormous range of these wavelengths. When that light hits an object, something interesting happens. Certain wavelengths are absorbed by the material, while others bounce away and continue traveling outward. The reflected light eventually reaches your eyes. And that is where color begins. Not in the object, not in the light itself. Inside you, imagine holding a red apple under sunlight. The apple absorbs many wavelengths and reflects others. The wavelengths we associate with red bounce into your eyes, triggering tiny specialized cells at the back of your retina. Those cells send electrical signals into your brain, and your nervous system transforms those signals into the experience you call red. But nowhere in that chain does redness physically exist. There are only surfaces, light waves, cells, electrical impulses, and neural interpretation. The color itself is created later. This changes the entire picture, because it means the world outside your mind is not visually colorful in the way you experience it. Color is not a built-in feature of reality. It is a sensory translation your brain generates to help you navigate the environment efficiently. And once you realize that, ordinary objects start to feel different. Take a white shirt hanging in a dark room. In complete darkness, it reflects nothing because no light reaches it. Does it still have color when nobody can see it? Intuitively, you want to say yes. But physically, the whiteness only appears when light, surfaces, eyes, and brain processing interact together. Remove one part of that chain, and the color disappears. Now push this further. At sunset, the same building can appear orange, gold, pink, or gray depending on atmospheric conditions and lighting angles. Under fluorescent lights, your skin changes tone. In deep ocean water, red objects appear black because red wavelengths no longer reach them. The object itself did not change. The conditions did. And suddenly color starts behaving less like a property and more like an event, a temporary experience generated under specific circumstances. That realization unsettles people because color feels emotionally real. It shapes moods, memories, attraction, warning signals, even cultural meaning. Entire industries depend on controlling color precisely because human beings respond to it so deeply. Yet all of it emerges from interpretation. Your brain is taking invisible wavelengths and converting them into an internal visual language, a language so convincing that you mistake it for reality itself. And this is only the beginning, because once you understand that colors are constructed experiences rather than fixed properties, an even stranger question appears. If color exists inside the mind, then what exactly is the world really like before your brain transforms it? To understand why color exists at all, you have to stop thinking like a human observer for a moment and start thinking like light. Imagine sunlight traveling through space toward Earth. At first, it appears white, clean, neutral, but hidden inside that white light is an enormous mixture of wavelengths traveling together. Some are long, some short, some energetic, some weaker. Human eyes only detect a tiny portion of them, but even that small slice contains the entire rainbow you experience every day. Now the light strikes an object. Let's say it hits a blue car parked under the sun. Most people think the car contains blueness somehow, as if blue paint generates blue on its own. But the opposite is happening. The surface of the car is actually absorbing huge portions of incoming light. Reds disappear into the material. Greens vanish. Many wavelengths are trapped and converted into microscopic vibrations and heat. The wavelengths we interpret as blue are the ones rejected. The color you see is the part the object refused to keep. That completely flips the intuition people grow up with. A red rose is not producing red. It is absorbing almost everything except red. A black shirt absorbs most visible wavelengths, which is why it heats up quickly under sunlight. A white wall reflects many wavelengths at once, scattering them back outward in every direction. Every surface around you is acting like a filter, a selective gatekeeper constantly deciding which wavelengths continue traveling and which ones disappear into matter. And then those surviving wavelengths reach your eyes. Inside the retina are tiny sensory cells called cones. Humans typically have 3 main types, each tuned to different wavelength ranges. One responds more strongly to longer wavelengths, another to medium ranges, another to shorter ones. Your brain compares the activity between these cells and constructs a sensation of color from those differences. That means you never detect redness directly. Your nervous system is measuring contrast between signals. This becomes obvious when lighting conditions change. Walk into a grocery store at midnight under artificial lighting. Fruits still look normal enough that you can recognize them instantly. Bananas remain yellow. Tomatoes remain red. But the actual wavelengths reaching your eyes are radically different from natural daylight. Your brain quietly compensates for this without asking permission. It adjusts, corrects, stabilizes. The visual world feels constant even when the physical information keeps changing. And this hidden correction system reveals something important. Seeing color is not passive. It is active interpretation. The eye gathers incomplete data, and the brain builds a stable visual experience from it. In many ways, your visual system behaves less like a camera and more like a prediction engine trying to maintain consistency. That's why certain optical illusions feel so disturbing. 2 squares with identical shades can appear completely different depending on surrounding colors. A gray object under blue light may suddenly look white. A famous photograph online once caused millions of people to argue over whether a dress was blue and black or white and gold. Same image, different brains, different corrections. Your certainty about color started collapsing the moment you realized objects don't contain color. But now another layer appears. Even the colors your brain generates are being modified in real time based on assumptions about lighting, shadows, and context. In other words, you are not simply seeing wavelengths. You are seeing your brain's best interpretation of them. And that interpretation is shaped by survival, efficiency, and pattern recognition more than absolute accuracy. Which means the colorful world you experience every day is not a fixed picture waiting outside you. It is a constantly adjusted construction assembled from light, matter, biology, and prediction all working together at incredible speed. And once you realize that, the question changes again. Not what color is this object, but what process inside me is making that color appear at all. Now the story becomes even stranger, because your eyes are not the only thing deciding what colors you see. Your brain is interfering constantly, not occasionally, constantly. Every second you are awake, your visual system is making silent corrections, adjustments, and predictions to stabilize the world around you. Without those corrections, reality will look chaotic and unstable, colors shifting wildly every time the lighting changed. But your brain hides that instability from you. And it does it so well that most people never notice the editing process happening underneath perception. Think about walking through your house at night. During the day, a white wall looks white under sunlight. At night, under warm yellow lamps, the wavelengths bouncing off that wall are completely different. Physically, the light entering your eyes has changed dramatically, yet the wall still appears white. Why? Because your brain automatically compensates for lighting conditions. It estimates the source of illumination, adjusts incoming signals, and preserves what we believe the object's true color should be. This process is called color constancy, and without it, the world would feel visually unstable every few minutes. But that stability comes at a cost. Your brain is no longer showing you raw information. It is editing the information before you experience it. And sometimes those edits fail. That's when the illusion becomes visible. You've probably seen optical illusions where two squares appear different colors even though they are physically identical. Place the same gray square against a dark background and then against a bright one, and suddenly your brain interprets them differently. Nothing changed in the object itself, only the context changed. Yet your perception shifts instantly. This reveals something important. Color is deeply relational. Your brain does not judge colors independently. It compares edges, shadows, surrounding tones, brightness levels, and expected lighting conditions all at once. Every color you experience is influenced by neighboring colors around it. The visual world is not processed piece by piece. It is processed as a system, and that system depends heavily on prediction. Take camouflage as an example. Predators and prey evolved patterns specifically designed to exploit the weaknesses of visual processing. Certain animals blend into trees, sand, or coral so effectively that your brain fails to separate them from the background, even when they're directly in front of you. The information reaches your eyes, but perception breaks down anyway. Your brain chooses the most efficient interpretation rather than the most accurate one. Now think about how unsettling that really is. You trust your vision because it feels immediate, direct, reliable, but your visual system is constantly rewriting incoming information to create stability, efficiency, and speed. In many situations, accuracy becomes secondary. This is why magicians can manipulate attention so easily, why color illusions work, why lighting changes alter mood instantly, why filmmakers obsess over color grading. They understand something most people don't. Color affects emotion before conscious thought catches up. A cold blue room feels different from a warm orange one, even if the physical space is identical. Hospitals, restaurants, advertisements, warning signs, and digital screens all exploit this psychological response. Because color is not just visual, it is neurological, and your brain treats those signals as meaningful long before you consciously analyze them. But here's the deeper realization. You never see the raw world first and interpret it later. Interpretation comes first. By the time you become aware of color, your brain has already filtered, corrected, stabilized, compared, predicted, and reconstructed the visual scene around you. What feels like immediate reality is actually the finished result of an enormous editing process hidden beneath consciousness. And once you understand that, the confidence you place in your own perception starts to shift. Not because vision is useless, but because it is far more manufactured than it feels. The colors surrounding you right now may appear stable and obvious, yet behind the scenes, your brain is constantly repainting the world to make it usable. And the strangest part is, you almost never notice it happening. Now imagine leaving the human world entirely, not physically, visually, because the colors you see every day feel normal only because you've never experienced anything else. Your brain treats human vision as reality itself. But the moment you compare to other creatures, that illusion starts to fall apart. Take a bee flying through a field of flowers. To you, the petals may look bright yellow or purple, simple, familiar, but the bee is seeing something completely different. Many flowers contain ultraviolet patterns invisible to human eyes, hidden markings that act like landing signals guiding insects toward nectar. The flower is broadcasting information you cannot see. Entire visual messages exist all around you, permanently hidden from human perception. And bees are not unusual. Birds can detect ultraviolet light too. To them, feathers that appear plain to humans may explode with patterns used for attraction, status, and identification. Two birds that look identical to you might appear dramatically different to each other, which means the world animals experience is not just slightly different from yours. It can be fundamentally different. Now go deeper underwater. Certain marine animals can detect polarized light, allowing them to navigate and hunt using patterns humans cannot even imagine seeing. Some shrimp possess visual systems so advanced they detect far more wavelength channels than humans do, potentially perceiving distinctions between colors that your brain literally cannot construct, cannot notice, cannot experience. There are no words for those colors because your nervous system never evolved to generate them. Then there are snakes that detect infrared radiation. A warm body moving through darkness becomes visible to them as heat signatures glowing against cooler surroundings. In complete darkness, where humans see nothing at all, another creature experiences a rich sensory landscape. Think about how strange that really is. The same environment contains multiple overlapping worlds depending on the organism perceiving it. A forest at night is one reality for a human, another for an owl, another for a mosquito, another for a snake. Same physical space, different sensory universes. And suddenly human vision stops feeling objective. You realize your experience of color is not the final version of reality. It's one biological strategy among millions. A narrow sensory slice shaped by evolution to help primates survive under specific conditions on Earth. Your eyes evolved to detect wavelengths useful for finding food, reading faces, recognizing danger, and navigating daylight environments. Not to reveal the full electromagnetic spectrum. Most of reality remains invisible to you. Radio waves pass through your body constantly. Infrared radiation surrounds every warm object. Ultraviolet patterns cover plants and animals. X-rays move through matter. Entire oceans of electromagnetic activity exist beyond a tiny band your eyes can detect. Human vision captures less than 1% of the electromagnetic spectrum. Less than 1%. And yet your brain takes that microscopic slice and convinces you that you are seeing the world. This is where perspective changes completely. Color is no longer something stable or universal. It becomes species-dependent, observer-dependent, biology-dependent. If humans had evolved different retinal cells, the sky itself might appear completely unfamiliar. Grass could carry patterns invisible today. Sunlight might look overwhelmingly complex instead of clean and white. Reality didn't change. The observer did. And that realization creates a strange kind of humility, because the world you experience every day is not the world in its entirety. It is a carefully filtered version tuned specifically for human survival, a visual interface built by evolution. And once you understand that, color stops feeling like a property of objects. It starts feeling like a private conversation between biology and light. Now, everything changes one final time. At the beginning, color seemed simple, a basic feature of the world, something attached to objects naturally and permanently. Red apples, blue oceans, green forests. But step by step, that certainty disappeared. You discover that objects do not contain color on their own. They reflect certain wavelengths and absorb others. You discover that your eyes capture only a tiny fraction of incoming light. Then you saw how your brain edits, stabilizes, and reconstructs color continuously in real time. And finally, you realize that countless other creatures experience completely different visual worlds. So where does that leave color itself? In a surprising place. Inside you, not metaphorically, literally. Because outside your nervous system, there are only electromagnetic waves interacting with matter according to physical laws. Wavelengths have no redness. Frequencies contain no blueness. The universe itself is silent about color. The sensation appears only when a living brain transforms physical signals into conscious experience. That means color is not a property sitting inside objects waiting to be discovered. It is an event created by perception, a translation, a biological invention. And once you understand that, ordinary life starts to feel different. Walk through a city at night. Neon signs glow across wet pavement. Traffic lights reflect through rain. Store windows spill color into dark streets. It feels like the world itself is illuminated from within. But what you are really experiencing is your nervous system converting invisible wavelengths into an internal sensory language vivid enough to shape emotion, memory, and meaning instantly. Color changes moods. It triggers attraction. It creates warning signals. It influences appetite, attention, and fear. Entire civilizations built symbolism around colors that technically do not exist outside perception at all. That's what makes this realization so strange. Something internally generated can still feel overwhelmingly real. And in a practical sense, it is real. The experience exists. Your brain creates it consistently enough for humans to share common visual understanding, communicate, paint art, design technology, and navigate the environment together. Color may not exist independently in the external world, but absolutely exists as part of conscious experience. And maybe that distinction matters more than people realize. because humans often assume reality must resemble experience directly. But color reveals a different relationship. The external world provides physical information, and the brain transforms that information into something meaningful, usable, emotionally rich. In other words, perception is not passive observation. It is active construction, not deception. Construction. Your visual system evolved to generate a world you could survive inside, not to produce a perfectly objective rendering of physics. And when you finally accept that, color stops feeling like an illusion and starts feeling like something even more fascinating. A bridge, a meeting point between light biology and consciousness. The universe provides the signals.